sport mode. You got all that stuff, but the more you drive it, the more you like it. Take my word for it. Welcome to the episode of Jay Leno's Garage, Pandemic Edition. Remember, we were doing Pandemic Editions for a while, and then they lifted it. We could bring our crew in. Well, now we're back to the strict restrictions again, so I'm back to doing these alone. I'm sorry that we don't have our camera crew and our sound guy, but I thought it was more important to make sure that we had new product every week. All right, so here we go. This is the new Lotus Evora GT. You know, the name Lotus, it's one of those legendary names, and it's a small company. It depends why you want a car like this. You know, I had a friend of mine say to me, "Hey, Joe, what's the best sports car to get girls? You want to get girls?" I said, "I don't know. You know, the last girl I got was 40 years ago, and I was driving a 55 Buick. So I'd have to say 55 Buicks are the best cars to get girls, because I got the one I wanted, my 55 Buick." And that's not what this car is for, although I'm sure it'll work fine for that. Or if you're the type of guy that wants something fancy to pull up in front of a club or a restaurant, this will work well too, but that's not the main focus. This is a driver's car. That is the primary reason for having this car. Are there cars with more horsepower? Yes. Are there cars that will handle better? I don't think so. I mean, this is the most satisfying automobile to drive, 416 horsepower. I know everybody else is in this 5, 6, 7 horsepower club, but they're not as light as this. This is a shade under 3,200 pounds, 3.5 liter V6, supercharged. I think it's what, 317 foot-pounds of torque. One of the best shifting cars I have ever driven. I love shifting this, I love driving this. This is, well, a driver's car. I remember back in the early days of racing when Hudson came out. I was thinking about this because I was driving my Hudson the other day. Hudson used to say, "You might catch me on the straights, but I'll beat you in the corners," because they had that step-down design. And that's kind of a good theory here, although this is plenty fast. I mean, it is a quick car. It's 0 to 60, what, 3.8, something like that. That's right up there in supercar territory. This car sells for a shade under 100 grand, and you get exclusivity, supercar performance, and it's old school. You know, when you look at the dashboard of this, you want to turn the heat on, go to H or go to C, hot, cold, simple. I don't have to look at a screen. Are you happy with the selection? Yes. How happy are you? Very happy. Yeah, what? And then I've hit a tree because I'm watching this. You reach down and you just press a couple of buttons and you get whatever you want. I mean, that's what I like about it. This is about an analog car, as you'll find in the modern era, when you have to have certain things, anti-lock brakes and traction control and all that kind of stuff. The engine is sourced from a Toyota. Now, some people might say, "Oh, it's got a Toyota engine." No. They take the engine from Toyota and they sort of, let's say, Lotisize it, okay, if there's such a word. It's supercharged. It's not turbocharged, so there's no lag. You've got all kinds of horsepower, and quite frankly, you get that reliability of a Toyota V6 engine in an exotic car, because let's face it, a lot of exotic cars are not as reliable as something like this. I'm very impressed with this automobile. It is very cool. Aluminum chassis, a lot of carbon fiber, as you can see. A buddy of mine who's 6'8" got in this the other day and thought it was just unbelievable because he fit. Don't forget, your engine is in the back, so your seat can come all the way back and your feet can go all the way forward. So you can be a really big guy. You can be an NBA player and drive this car. It looks like a small car, and it is reasonably small, but it's not tiny. And there's all kinds of, it utilizes space excellent. And the interesting thing is, it's a 2+2. It actually has a back seat. Okay, it's a laughable back seat, and you might get one guy in there sideways, but it is a back seat. And the cool thing is, it has a trunk, but it also has this backseat area. You can put a ton of stuff back there. So this is a practical car, and it's a car you don't see on the road every day. Not that you see Lamborghinis every day, but when you live in LA, you do. You see Hurricanes all over the place, and they're excellent, but they're 3 times the price of this car. And that's the interesting thing about this. You get that supercar exclusivity, and I know $100,000 is not cheap. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is, a car like this for that price, and it puts you in that sort of rarefied air of unique and original sports cars. It's a Lotus. I mean, the name has all kinds of connotations. You know, I've got a Lotus Elan which to this day I think is one of the greatest handling cars of all time. Because handling is what Lotus does, it's what they do. If you took this up through the hills, you would be amazed. Look, if you're just a guy that's just looking at something to impress people, there probably are cars that would be more impressive, but none would make you feel as good or handle as well. I just thought this thing was pretty amazing. But I mentioned the engine. Let me show you the engine. Let me move the tripod around and put the camera so we can see that motor. Okay, here we are at the rear of the vehicle. I love the center exhaust. Looks like a giant USB port, doesn't it? It's kind of cool. Again, I always talk about this. I love round taillights. There's nothing as good looking as round taillights. The early Lotus Cortinas had them. I like that they continue it to this day. Let me open the back here. As you see, you've got your big supercharger on top here. And it's cool, in the rear view mirror, you can sort of see the whole linkage and everything working when you put your foot in it. This is one of the best sounding V6s. You know, I said before, it's a Toyota V6, okay? An engine that's used in every Uber car, every Lyft car. It's an engine that goes hundreds and hundreds of thousands of miles. I put 500 hard miles on this thing and didn't use a drop of oil. I mean, you get that Toyota reliability. It's sort of been reimagined by Lotus, let's say, with the supercharger. I'm so glad it's not a turbo. I just like that they're old school, because supercharging, you have the horsepower all the time. There's no lag. The minute you put your foot in it, boom, you feel it pull away. And it sounds great. I mean, I think you'll be impressed when you hear it. And of course, you can modulate the exhaust too from the dashboard. You've got a fairly good sized trunk area here. If you're a golfer, you could get a set of clubs in here. But as I said, you've got all kinds of room in the back seat. All right, let's look. Put that down. See, I just like that they go lightweight like this, okay? I mean, you can put a couple of big heavy gas struts in here, and that's going to add a few pounds. But I just like the fact that they do it old school. Since I'm on this side anyway, let me show you the passenger side. Come around here. You know, you have all the options, electrically heated mirrors, and they fold in and all that kind of stuff when you lock it up. I mean, doors open nice and wide. Very spacious compartment there, passenger seat, nice materials, leather. Let me show you the wheels here. These are kind of interesting. You know, this is what I call boutique engineering, where companies like Lotus go around, they find that people make the best parts. These are AP Racing brakes, okay? They're servo assisted, they're cross-drilled, they're vented, the 4 calipers. These are 370 millimeters in the back, about 350 in the front. These wheels designed by Lotus, ultra lightweight forged wheels, 19s in the front, 20s in the rear, and you got these Michelin Pilot Sport Cup 2 XLs here. Let's move to the front of the car. Another thing I like about this car, they're all functional. There's nothing on here that's phony. In all our cars, they have all sorts of scoops and things that don't do anything, you know, just visual. But everything here is here for a purpose. This is all to get air through the radiator, brakes, whatever. And I think they add to the look of the car. As you see, a lot of carbon fiber. Although you can get it without it, but that's sort of an option in a package. I think enhances the car quite a bit. You know, I haven't filmed the startup for a while. I'm going to go around, get in the car, and set up the camera so you can see the exhaust and hear it when it starts. And it sounds really good. You'll see. Okay, before I pull out of the driveway, remember I said before how you can be 6'8" and drive this thing? I'm going to put the seat all the way back. I want to show you. Look at this. Look how far back I am. I cannot put the clutch pedal in. Look how much room. I've never seen a car like this, an exotic sports car, that had this kind of leg room. So that's pretty cool. All right, push it back up again for us tiny people. Let's take it for a ride. And of course, you got race mode and sport mode. So you got all that stuff, which I don't really care about, the electric seats or any of that, but the more you drive it, the more you like it. Take my word for it. You know, this is a very competitive segment of the market, and to be competitive, you got to be the best at something. Some have the most horsepower. You know, this one, it's quite amazing how well it handles. And I love this shifter. I love this transmission. Very snick, clicks right in. 6-speed. And it makes a nice sound. It's not so obnoxious that you're going to get tired of it droning on while you drive. Not that way at all. Very nice. One of my favorite things about Lotus is it's a small company, and it's the most committed group of people you've ever met in your life. We had the head designer and some of the other people here at the shop, and that's what's fun, you know. It's not some big monolithic company which has tens of thousands of workers. You know, everybody knows your car. You use your side mirrors a lot more than you use your rear view mirror, between the slats and the small window. I mean, you can see behind you, but it's better to use your side mirrors, which are actually excellent, which is actually all you need. I can't say I ever use the rear view much in this. I just use the side mirrors. And of course, you got backup camera and all that stuff now. That's mandatory. It's very hard to build a light car these days because there's so many safety features and things that you have to have. Red line's about $7,000. Nowhere on the motor does it say Toyota. I don't believe it does. It says Lotus because, as I said, it's sort of reimagined by Lotus. But you get that unbeatable Toyota reliability. You get a proven. You know, it's funny. I've got a Ford GT, and it's got the Ford Sync system in it. You know, when you get in your, and anytime I get in a European car, and I hook up my phone, and like sometimes it hooks up, it doesn't. You get because the Ford Sync systems and everything from Escorts to Fiestas to Fusions, and the Ford GT. The minute you get in, boom, everything works perfectly. AM, FM, auxiliary, you know, Bluetooth, all that stuff. Because it's a proven device, and that's what I love about this engine. It's a proven entity, you know. It's not going to break. It's not going to wear out. These go hundreds of thousands of miles. I told you, we put 500 miles on this thing, checked the oil, and really checked it. I mean, not an ounce of oil. You know, the old days, you used to have to add a quart every 600-700 miles, just by the nature of beating up the car and driving it hard and seeing an occasional puff of blue smoke. I mean, those days are all gone, you know. So what you do with this thing is you just drive it and you use it for its intended purpose. I love the fact that there's only a few gauges on the steering wheel. It's not a myriad of buttons where I'm just going crazy trying to figure out what's what. Very simple. I like the wheel. Top speed in this car is about 188 miles an hour, which is fine, you know. I mean, let me tell you, you're going 188 in the street, you're going to jail. I'm sorry. As I always say, and I probably say it on more of these videos, all that I need to, all the fun is between 40 and 120. And I was genuinely amazed at the gas mileage. Driving it hard, I don't think it ever went below 17. I mean, maybe it did, but it wasn't that kind of thing where I go, what, I'm out of gas already, you know? And I've got that Hemi Challenger, and when you get on it, the gas gauge and the minute hand of the clock move at the same rate. It says like, yeah. This is a real livable sports car. You know, I always meet Ferrari guys that brag about how few miles they have on it. Yeah, it's a 91. I got 800 miles. Yeah, great. Good for you. You know, this, you could put 100,000 miles on this thing and not even flinch. Oh, yeah. It's just seamless. I know you can get this with an automatic, but that seems like such a waste. that long pull in third gear. You know, it gives me great joy to drive a car like this where I know everything is good on it, doesn't break. Because I don't like to trash cars. I know I watch a lot of websites. People like to break stuff and make fun of it. And I know how much work, how much engineering, how much dedication goes into making something like this. So I don't like to do something unless I know it's going to be good. And I had driven one of these, and that's why I asked to road test this, because I know it's good. And I'd like to see it do well, because it's an excellent product. And you know, V6s are the coming thing. The Ford GT's a V6. The new McLaren that they're coming out, that's going to be a V6 engine. Lighter, and you know, they're getting more and more power from them. And of course, the first production car with a V6, what's the answer? That's the Lancia Aurelia, or the Vittorio Iano made the first production V6 back in 1950, I think it was. And it's come a long way. I just like what this doesn't have. Like, I can reach down and I can make it hotter or colder without looking at the screen. I like that. I like that I can do all those kind of things. Modern cars have become so distracting with the big center screen, and you have to look at it. You have to take your eyes off the road. When you're driving a car like this, you never want to take your eyes off the road. Well, I hope you got the idea of what I'm talking about. I don't mean to go on and on. I just like the company. I like what they do. I like the emphasis on handling and driving. So check one of these out. If you see one on the road, give the guy a thumbs up. But you probably won't see that many because they're rare. So get them while they're hot. See you guys later.
Mm-hmm.